That's hilarious. That's a hilarious picture.
Please rise.
We're going. You want to move?
Aren't we supposed to go here? We're supposed to go here.
Good afternoon. Welcome today to the funeral service for Jack. We gathered together to pray together, to be one as family and friends, to support one another, and to pay our respects and to remember the life of Jack. And so let us begin in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. So begin with sprinkling of his urn with holy water is a remembrance of the baptism that he had in his youth, and we will sprinkle his urn with holy water. So at this time, I invite you to please be seated, and we'll have, I think it's Sean first, will come forward, and with the family.
There we go. You good? Yes. Everybody, thank you very much for coming. As Grandpa Jack would love, we're semi-organized, and we're just going to do this out of love. So there we go.
Hello everyone. My dad asked me if I wanted to go up today, but I wasn't too sure if it was something I was going to be able to do. But then he said that it would make my grandma happy and my grandpa proud, so I knew it was something I had to get done. Then thinking about it, I had no clue what to say or how to say it. I had the feelings, I just wasn't sure how to put them into words. My grandpa was an amazing man, and he always made sure that me, his other grandkids, and the people around him felt loved. I could always tell that he wanted to make sure that the people around him were taken care of before him, and I always admired that. And that's something that I want to strive to do in my life. My grandpa and I sort of had a special bond. While he was creative and always trying to design something, I just never really wanted to work for anyone. But from that, we both shared an entrepreneurial mindset. He'd always call me with ideas for my business, and I always appreciated that. That because he would share his ideas with me and even offer to give me any tools, like for example, his ladder if I ever needed it. While I do have many supporters, I felt like he was one of the most supportive people towards my business, and I'm always going to appreciate that and dedicate a huge part of my future successes to him. I've only had really great memories with my grandpa, like him building an entire mountain of snow for us to sled off the roof of a shed, him making a tunnel out of cardboard for our Toms the train, him showing me how to use many tools and how handy he was, and so much more. However, I had one bad day with him. It was when he made me get on my hands and knees and physically scrape out moss out of the pavers with a screwdriver. Like, who does that? After a few hours, I think he just noticed I stopped trying. I was just stabbing it with a screwdriver. I was so bored, so he finally gave up and just let me go hang out with my grandma. I feel like this really shows who he was, because even the worst memory I could think of is still one we can laugh at. This guy also fueled my addiction when I was younger. For those who don't know, I used to be obsessed with extension cords. I would just beg for people to buy me them and just plug them in all day. I'm not too sure if I had been shocked or something and enjoyed it, but I couldn't get over the obsession with extension cords. Like, I even have a picture of me sleeping with one instead of a teddy bear. And you wouldn't believe the amount of times I've been shocked. Like, I fully remember shoving a key into an outlet for whatever reason. However, my grandpa just wanted to make me happy. So he would do what I asked and just buy me cords and let me play with them. Which my family believes this obsession stems from how he always loved setting up Christmas decorations for the family. Anyways, my grandpa was an amazing man, and I'm just glad that he's not in pain anymore, because that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to see. I'm always going to love him, and like I said, many of my successes are going to be for him. Love you, Grandpa, and I'll always miss you.
if I can keep it as collected as Brayden just did. So when I was trying to decide what to say today or how to say it, I also had no idea where I was going to start. So naturally I started thinking about some memories and important moments that I had with Grandpa Jack. Some memories are as small as him picking me up from school twice a week, but I know I had something extra to look forward to because he always would have a chocolate bar waiting for me in the car. Another memory would be going to his house. Grandpa Jack always made sure we had the best time, whether he was giving me a piggyback ride up and down the stairs anytime I asked, building giant forts with us, or spending hours in his shed, building me the most beautiful dollhouse, or making a huge snow slide in his backyard for us to toboggan down. He was always finding ways to make our childhood special. At the time, I didn't think much of that snow slide, other than it being a fun toboggan run. But looking back, that slide was almost as tall as the roof of their shed and went halfway through their yard, which probably took hours and hours in the cold to build. But he still did it for years in a row for us to have fun. Looking back, I realized that's just who Grandpa was. Someone who always gave his time and energy to make the people that he loved happy. I don't remember a single time being around him where he didn't make me feel recognized, special, encouraged, important, and loved. And I feel so appreciative, thankful, and lucky that I got to grow up with such amazing support. Also, anyone who knows my dad probably sees many of those same qualities in him. The kindness, selflessness, and care he shows for others, or for other people around him. And seeing the kind of dad I have shows me the impact that Grandpa had as a role model, and the values that he passed down, and I feel incredibly lucky to have grown up surrounded by that kind of love. I think the kind of love Grandpa showed us throughout our lives rubbed off on all of us. When it came down to it in the hospital, we always made sure someone was there with him, supporting him, advocating for him, and being there for him in any way we could. One moment I will always remember is helping him walk up and down the hallway. There were like 6 or 7 of us, and this was just a normal day, and we were like a giant herd taking up the entire hallway as he walked, just trying to get a few steps in down that hallway. We were all just making sure he wasn't alone. But I hope he could feel in that moment that we would always be there for him, just like he had always been there for us. This makes me so happy to see everyone here today who got to know and love Grandpa Jack and experience the love and care that he gave to others. Grandpa will want us all to live in the way that he did every day, making sure that the people that you care about know that they are loved, and everyone being here today is doing just that for him. So thank you, and we all love you, and we all miss you, Grandpa.
Ooh, got some new shoes to fill here. All right. You are my go-to guys, so there you go. So, on behalf of the family, thank you for all your job. And everyone for coming out, celebrating the life of my dad, Jack. Seeing family, friends, and co-workers. Whose life Jack touched reminds us how special he was. Jerry Seinfeld once said, "I'd rather be the person in the casket than the person giving the eulogy." Well, as I stand here today, I know how fortunate we all are to share a little bit of Grandpa Jack's story. When I started thinking about what I wanted to say today, I realized there's one thing that connected so many of our memories with Grandpa Jack. That's sports. But more importantly, what sports represented. For Dad, sports were never really about the score. They were about showing up. They were about creating memories with the people he loved. Dad always showed up. He showed up for Kevin and myself for all the sports we played growing up. He didn't just sit in the stands. He coached. He kept score. He shared his time. Encouraged not only us, but our friends as well. And that continued with our children. He rarely missed our sporting events and was always there the biggest supporter. After a game, whether they scored a goal, had a great play, or simply gave their best effort, there was a pretty good chance Grandpa Jack had a loony or two waiting for them. It wasn't about the money. It was Grandpa's way of saying, "I saw you." That was Jack. He found the good in the people he loved. If there was one sport that created some of our greatest memories with Dad, it was football. But my dad taught us something much bigger than football. He taught me the game was never really about what happened on the field. It was who you were sitting with beside. Some of the earliest memories with sitting with Dad, Kevin, and Mom at Palmer games, including driving home after the games, listening to some of the older people might know, including me, Cactus Jack, giving the happy honker award to the hardest working player, or braving those freezing nights at Winnipeg Stadium, and myself asking Dad, why was all the steam coming from the troughs in the bathroom? Looking back now, I realize Dad wasn't just taking us to football games, he was creating memories. He was teaching us that the best moments in life are about the people you share them with. Dad was also our biggest supporter. Some of our friends used to recall that when I played football, I spent more time running backwards than forwards. Dad, of course, remembered things differently. According to him, I was the next Walter Payton. So today, in honor of my dad, I'm sticking with his version. Pops, you're right. Dad was born and raised in Winnipeg and attended Tech Fox, where he studied drafting. Soon after, he met the love of his life, Dolores. They were married in 1965 and spent over 60 years building a life together. Enjoyed garage sales, road trips, and the occasional casino with their dear friends Helen and Henry. On that note, Helen, Auntie Tilly, thanks for all the pickups and drop-offs from my mom, enabling her to spend as much quality time as possible with Dad at St. Pete. Looking back, Dad's greatest accomplishment wasn't his career or anything he owned. It was a life he and Mom built together. During that time, they showed Kevin and myself what commitment and loyalty looked like. The family they created together is Dad's greatest legacy. And Mom, thank you for sharing Dad with all of us. We love you. Dad spent 32 years with CN Rail before beginning a second career with Winnipeg Transit. But what always stood out was how people remembered Jack. Years after we retired, when I met someone who worked with Dad, they always seemed to say the same thing. They never said, oh yeah, I work with Jack. They never said, yeah, I knew Jack. They said, I love Jack. And that says everything. All right, now back to the game. Shannon, Les, and myself were lucky enough to go to 3 Bomber games for greater games with Jack. In 2019, the 4 of us hit the road to Minneapolis to watch the Raiders. Well, the Raiders lost, and the Bombers, who were up by 20 points in the third quarter, broke our hearts the day before. Then, after the game, my wife Shannon suggested the casino, and I asked, haven't we lost enough? Well, if you knew those 3, you already know how that vote ended up. And lucky enough, I actually had to eat crow, because at the end of the night, that adventure paid for our entire trip. Hey, I'm glad I was wrong. But what Shannon and I remember most isn't the football or the wings. It's the cherished memories we have with Jack and Les. Later that fall, the Bombers finally won the Grey Cup. Same time they were down that 20 points, they won the Grey Cup for 29 years. And seeing the joy on Dad's face while holding a 6-foot replica Grey Cup at Portage in Maine is a memory I'll always treasure. Over the past decade, Dad had fulfilling experiences helping his younger brother Randy on a wellness journey, along with spending time with his older brother Danny. That reconnection with Danny led to even more memories, including one last Raiders trip. In 2023, Shannon and I surprised Dad and Les with seats in the legendary Black Hole section in Las Vegas. And we are off to Vegas, allowing us to spend invaluable time with them, Danny, my Aunt Priscilla, and Shannon's mom Sharon. But the part we will remember won't be the football. They did lose. It was Dad seen surrounded by people he loved. On that note, thank you to the countless people always being Jacks in my corner. To Shannon, thank you for always spoiling my dad. Including with those special nachos he absolutely loved. Along with Shannon, Shane, and Braden, you guys have been my rocks the last few months. Thank you so very much. You're awesome. Thank you, Les and Sharon, and all our friends for always make my dad feel he was one of the gang. And for everyone's love, support, and well wishes for Grandpa Jack and our family over the last couple of months. The final 6 weeks of Dad's life were a roller coaster for our family. We were told more than once we might lose Dad. And more than once, Dad surprised the doctors, fought his way back. Those extra days became gifts. During those weeks, it was Kevin's, my honor to pay Dad back. I became Dad's go-to guy to bring him warm blankets, provide head scratches, some really nasty head scratches, but he loved them, and back rubs. He loved those, but not as much as me. Near the end, we could no longer swallow on his own. He trusted me to gently suction his throat. As difficult as that was, it became another way for us to share a special bond. But I wasn't doing it alone. Kevin, you were there for countless hours. The two of us advocated, we asked questions, pushed the medical team. Because we believed if anybody could fight his way back, it was Dad. We stood beside him. We fought for him. Just as he always fought for us. And Dad knew he was never fighting alone. On July 9th, Pops decided it was time to see the many people he loved who left before him. And he was at peace. Shortly after Dad passed away, my son Braden and I were talking about Grandpa's last days in the ICU and his legacy. I said there could have been a billionaire in the room beside Grandpa. Some with properties and yachts across the globe. But I truly believe Grandpa was the richest man in that hospital. Not because of what he owned, because of who loved him, and who was beside him through this journey on the day he passed. He left this world knowing exactly how much he mattered, and not everyone gets that gift. Grandpa Jack did. I mentioned earlier Cactus Jack and the Happy Honker Award. It was given to people who worked hard, gave their best effort, and made Winnipeg proud. If anyone ever earned a Happy Honker, it was Jack. So for everyone who ever touched by Jack, when you have a chance, please raise a beer. Or even better, Grandpa Jack approved vanilla milkshake and give a little honk, or 3. So Grandpa Jack, this is for you. I think you get the point. Jappy, enjoy your Happy Honker, Dad. Thumbs up. Definitely, truly earned it, buddy. To Jack, a husband, a father, a grandpa, a brother, a friend. Someone who always showed up. Dad, thanks for showing up. Thanks for taking us to the game. Love you, Pops. Thank you, Rue. All 3.
Hello everyone, I'm Tyler Kavitch, son of Kevin Kavitch and my brother Mark. Had a few brief words to say about my Grandpa Jack. It's a surreal feeling to be back on the service podium again. As much as I wish it wasn't the case, I'm grateful for the opportunity to say some kind words about my grandfather, Jack Kavitch. Grandpa Jack and his wife, Grandma Dolores, played a very important role in my early years. As the first grandchild, they were both very eager to make sure I was looked after. Spent many days at their house when I was little, and I believe it did a lot to shape who I was today. spent a lot of time in their basement. I have so many memories of the basement, photos of playing around the couches, all the little structures he built, the train tracks and the cars. It was such a good time. The two words that stand out the most are relaxed and happy. When I spent time with them, every day I spent time around them, and it made me feel relaxed and happy, because the presence Grandpa Jack had is just second to none. He has such a calm spirit, he's so caring, and he spent such a good time just looking after us and making us feel like we want to be around. That presence. As much doting has happened there, an equal amount of that background presence, you could just feel it being around him. He'd always be there when you wanted him around, and seemed just as happy to be nearby when you do your own thing, whether that's playing with trains or going down the shed in the snow. In my later years, I grew to enjoy the handful of times we'd see each other each year. I can still hear the, "Hey Tyler," when you'd open up with a conversation together. We'd talk about sports, football, talk about what I've been up to, and some of my favorite memories were that wide eyes and genuine interest he'd have when you listen to hear about what we've been up to, how's the family been, and what's new in the life. In a similar vein, I also enjoyed being his tech support for him. Fixed his laptop and computer on numerous occasions. All the crap I had to remove, and I'm still surprised that laptop works to this day. I really will cherish those memories, because I'd spend an hour there, I'd be scratching my head, and he'd just be sitting there smiling away, and be like, "I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna fix it for you." And I'm very glad I spent those hours with him, because I will cherish those forever. I'm gonna miss that calm, comforting aura he brought with them. And I believe a small part of him will live on through each of us, and we'll always be grateful for time with him. Love you, Grandpa.
Well, first off, thanks everybody for coming out today. We really appreciate it. You see all the love that's in the room here. Later on, we're going to have a slideshow, and it's interesting. When putting that thing together over the last few days and getting photos from all the family members, it just it reminded me of all the great moments that we had with him, and all the contributions, and all the cool moments that he had. I think we're going to try to, when it does play, we're going to try to tell his story and show you some of the fun that he did have. The one thing that kind of jumped out at me is he worked for over 50 years, and there are very few pictures of him at work, and which is okay, because that's really not how Dad was defined. He liked the people he worked with, loved the people he worked with, and he enjoyed the relationships, and he was a hard-working guy. And 30 years at CN Plus, and then another 20 plus years at Transit. You've done your job. But people loved him. He loved being there. But he was a family guy, and that's really how he's defined. And even going through the photos, I got to say some of them are tough, but I think it's probably a little bit helpful for the grieving process too. I think when you go through something like that. My dad, the highest compliment I can give anybody is if you're a good man, and Jack was a good man, definitely. He did fine for himself, but well snubbed the measure. Not money anyway. But generosity, when he could, philanthropy, giving money away. It's the whole golden rule thing. It's just all about values and character. He's just a good guy, a good solid guy. For him, it's what you can do for others. And that's really how people should be defined. He made the world a better place for being here, in it. He was always supportive, sports as a kid. He encouraged both of us. The athletic thing has been important for my life and Sean's life, and so that was a big deal for us. Our jobs, our family. There's not enough time to go into all of it, but he just touched every bit of it. We'd run charity police baseball games at the Gold Ice Stadium. He'd be there every time. He'd be with the grandkids or hyped up to be there. Even some competitions that I had to do later on in recent years. You could always count on. And I think everybody that knew him, Wes, it's a guy you can always count on. My friends remember him that way. Just so many memories. His final 5 weeks in the hospital, and Sean touched on it, he went there. It was an unexpected thing. He survived an emergency surgery. Looked like it'd be touch and go, and then really the whole 5 weeks was kind of like that, where it was teetering on the edge, and it was a roller coaster, like my brother mentioned. He fought hard. He wanted to be here. He did everything he could, and it looked like he was winning at times, and other times he'd have setbacks. But the thing that struck me is like the visits that he had, and the impact that he had on other people, and those conversations. And it was a gift that we had an extra 5 weeks. We talked about it, like we 1,000% we wanted him to make it out of there, and we did everything we could to try to make that happen, and then some. But then we started thinking that those 5 weeks might be what we get, or whatever we get, we have to take advantage of it. And I'm so grateful that happened. We could have lost him on that first day, and that would have been terrible. I think of what we would have missed. He did have some hard times, but he had some good times in there too. And not everybody gets to say goodbye and some of those other things that matter so much. We just take it for granted someone's going to be there the next day, and then they're not. And I think there's a lesson in there somewhere. We're lucky that we had it. I wanted so much more. We all wanted so much more, but it just wasn't in the cards as much as he wanted to push through it, and you should have seen him. He did great. I've been a police officer for 33 years. I was actually looking at retirement this year. I had other opportunities, but I decided this is the year I'm going to retire.